Good morning, Ümit.
Good morning, Dimis.
It's lovely that we meet for the first time here in this wonderful library of CVAR, of the Kostas and Rita Severis Foundation.
Yeah, it's a space that every Cypriot should visit. The Severis Foundation, visual culture museum, actually. It's a visual memory, let's say, that each Cypriot should visit.
It is indeed.
And have an idea, yeah.
It is indeed. We've been friends for many years. We've had artistic collaborations.
Yeah.
I very much admire your artwork.
You are a collectioner of my artwork, yeah.
In a way, yes. Yeah. In a way, yes. But maybe we can begin with a few thoughts about art, about your art.
Yeah, if we talk about what I am doing as an artist, is mainly to stay within a cultural anthropology and ontology of art, because I am trying to looking through all the civilizations that makes human being aware of the nature, aware of their existence, which is ontology, which is existentialism. But my way of approaching the philosophy of art, I can say it's a bit hermeneutic. I start with the mythologies, the cosmogony, and I come to the science because I believe the fertility of the artistic creativity, it is within these corridors of cultural anthropology, cosmogony, mythology, everything which is mystic and mythic. It is a creativity, a human being creativity, to try to understand why I am here and why we are alive on this earth.
Right.
And so I am not strictly positivist. One of my part is mystic hermeneutic, and one of my part is scientific, which makes my way of thinking dualistic.
And that's, I think, that's one of the great things of good art. There is reason in what the artist has to
understand
communicate.
The roots of arts. Why we need to make art. That's it.
Right.
The origins of art.
Right. And the balance between this reason and this imagination, the mythic or the mystical, it's very much prevalent in your art. I've seen artworks in which reason and balance are more dominant.
Talismanic and magic, as you do magics, I do in art, anyway.
Well, I love magic, and I hope we
probably this is the thing that make us being together and working together and collaborating on some product. Yeah.
Well, we will.
I'm not a magician, but the magic is a DNA of my artwork.
Well, that's excellent, and that's why we're going to do a project together around this idea of magic. Yeah. Maybe we can talk a little bit. I mean, your art today, I know you're exhibiting as we speak. You're exhibiting in Italy with great names, like you're next to Yannis Kounellis' work, for example.
Yes, the big names of 20th century, and a few names like me, young. We are not anymore young, but for this
compared to the Kiriko,
I am the youngest in the exhibition.
Yeah.
Yes, it's an honor for me to be to be let's say nominate within this artists. It's an honor for me. I continue to exhibit, make a one-man show, solo show, and group shows.
And you've also created an art foundation.
Yes. Yes.
And you are publishing what is the only curated journal in Cyprus. Yeah. And it's not just Cypriot, because it brings international art here and Cypriot art overseas. Arsaxis, maybe.
Is,
what motivated you to do it?
It is my adventurer aspect of being an artist. I am an artist, but I am an activist too. Activist philosophically, activist politically, activist artistically. I am not an artist who closes himself in a studio and paints, or I'm not a poet who writes only poets. I want to touch to the reality. I want to be within the reality and come out with all the effects of the daily life. Daily life, but in the same time to have a perspective, futuristic perspective, thinking about the future, knowing very well the past and interpret in a good way the present and project the idea for the future. It makes me alive. I mean, I feel that I am on this earth. So I resigned from the universities because I had enough with the institutional circumstances. I believe I am always anarchical behavior or artist, and I cannot.
But that's why I like you.
Yeah,
it's the anarchist part of it
yes,
that
because
is
artists
interesting.
should be autonomous,
and we should be disruptive, right?
Yes, and you know, when we talk about all these things, it reminds me old mythologies, like Hindu mythologies, like Greek mythologies. There are gods for bad things, there are gods for good things, and there is this dualism, this duality of good and bad. But good and bad, it's a part of us. Like Hindu mythology, Asuras and Devas, the name of my daughter.
Right,
it comes
Deva.
from that, yeah. This dualistic aspect of life, fighting always for the good things, but knowing that there is a good and bad in our life, and when we mythicize them, okay, when we sublimize them, then it is a level of traveling through the thoughts, make an interpretation. Try to understand what it makes us bad, what it makes us good, and try to understand. But always, as a collective memory in our mind, there are something that it makes us wake up within the daily life. So, in the moment we are living through the daily life, but in that moment, instantly, we are looking forward things that they don't belong to the physical perspective of our world, which is imagination.
Right.
So, in this sense, an artist must be free, politically, ontologically, sociologically, has to be an individual, autonomous individual, an autonomous intellectual to produce independently from the global, from the things that it makes globally human being to behave as that global idea. So I take myself out from the globality and I globalize the human life through all the centuries, through all the millenniums, from the paleontological period up to today, and try to understand within this globality the moment, this particle, this small dot, that it is a part of this big globality, why is there? So these Latins, they call it omnia abuno, omnia adunum. From single to the whole, from whole to the single. This is monadology of Leibniz, and this is atomism of Greek philosophy. So from the ancient period up to today, we are thinking always between this dot, the smallest thing of the material world, and the globality, which is not only a physical, but thoughts too. Because we are living not only with the physicality, but we are living through the thoughts too.
Right.
And beliefs, of course.
And the journey of the artist, at least in the Western world to a large extent, has been a journey from artist craftsman to artist thinker, artist philosopher. Because today, if you say contemporary art, they have to contain new thoughts about art. So maybe in older times, the word creativity did not come.
This new always, the previous name, the title of our exhibition in Italy was Il Nuovo Antico. New is ancient.
Right.
So Latin verbium, it says, under the sun, nothing is new. So we are talking about new as a behavior, as a way of thinking.
Right.
But whatever we go to touch, it happened before, but we discover it. And it is a new understanding of our thinking to give values to that.
Well, I agree with you, because I've been working on creativity for many years as well. Most of my focus has been on business creativity. That was my clientele, that was my audience. I believe it's very important.
So the idea of this book, The Art of Innovation.
Right, which you designed for me, and I am very grateful that you did it, because, well, here there is a model. If you talk about creativity or innovation, because innovation is really applied creativity which brings value at the end. Not necessarily only monetary value.
Innovation means to come out within the rigid lines and go through more independently and discover things that you cannot find them on your way.
And apply them and bring value out of them as well. And this model, which you designed the book and created 16,
visually.
You interpreted visually a series of concepts which basically are saying that in organizations, innovation is multidimensional. You need good individual creativity, you need good teamwork, you need systems and structures to make this happen.
Collective production and collective thinking.
And a leadership kind of thinking that is focused, or at least in which innovation is a value. Because in companies in the private sector are there to make money. In NGOs and organizations like government organizations maybe have other objectives, but their objectives are very often efficiency, producing what they produce, and innovating means changing. And that's a little bit what you're saying. There's a history, there's a learning, and then there's a creating something new. So it happens at the individual level, it happens for artists, but it can also happen for businesses,
the dynamism of creativity,
and organizations.
The dynamism of creativity, it doesn't belong only to the arts.
Exactly.
But in every field of our life. The dynamism of creativity, it happens even in the science, which is positivistic. So the dynamo, the movement, the action is there because you have to come out with something different. Otherwise, you become static and you repeat whatever it has been before.
Right, and that includes behaviors. and ways of learning. So it's not just ways of doing, it's also ways of learning. In the end, it has to be a way of doing as well. But this creativity, the creative spark is, as it was described in the 60s by Arthur Koestler, he said it's when two very different frames of reference come together, a little bit like Archimedes. Archimedes, he had to find the weight of the, he had to find out whether the crown of the king in Syracuse was really gold, or whether the goldsmith or the artisan had put any other metals in it. And he couldn't find a solution. And one day he got into his bath and he saw the level of the water rise. And he said, Eureka, he said, Eureka, I have the solution. And he ran around naked in Syracuse. And that is basically the moment of creation, the Eureka, the Eureka moment.
To be aware.
Yes, and the thing is, at first thought, there is nothing common, the level of the bathwater, the metal of the crown.
But it was always there.
Exactly.
But he discovered it.
Exactly, but what had he discovered? He discovered that he could take the crown and take a piece of pure gold and of the same weight. He puts the crown in the water, looks at the level of the water, then he puts his own item of gold of equal weight and looks at the level of the water. If the level is different, then the density of the two materials is different. So here we have a method, and we have something that is very useful in physics today. But the Eureka moment did not come from logic, did not come from reading books or everything.
That is the point of what I am doing in my art. Yes. Right. To be aware about the physical life, it was always there. Always there, and through the millennium and century we had a mythology and cosmogony, everything, and we invent many ideas of why we are here, why we are alive. But there is one moment that you discover something mentally you discover it, because physically it was there, but you are aware in that moment. So this is the creativity of the artistic or scientific way.
Exactly, or scientific way. And it's very often when you have two different frames of reference, and suddenly they come together and you find a common point.
You know, Picasso what said for this?
What did he say?
I am not searching. I am not looking for. I find it.
I do. Yeah.
I find it. I am not looking for, but I find it. Right. So. This is the example that we did with Archimedes.
And he also said
he was not searching the gravity, but he found it there.
But he also said about the relation with the past. He said, I took 6 years in art school to learn to paint like the Renaissance masters, and a whole lifetime to learn to paint like a child. So for him also the idea of going back in history is in fact a very creative
always, if we are
moment.
not apply this collective memory of human life, I think no one can be an artist, and no one can be a scientist, and no one can be a philosopher if you don't apply this collective memory of human life in Earth. It can be religion, it can be science, it can be mythology, cosmogony, whatever it is, but everything is a creation of man, so we have to understand everything through the way of life, through the civilization modes, because every civilization had a different approach for cosmogony.
And different cultures.
And different cultures, different way of representation, because human being needs representation,
expression,
because we need to represent ourselves. This needs to represent ourselves. It is about the present, to be present. So, onthos, ontology. I am here.
Being.
Since I am here, the second thing, how I can represent myself. Then we try to explain things. we need a language. First, we need a feeling to feel that we are here, and then we need a language, and then we need rhetoric, and then we need empirism, and then we need positivism, and then we need mysticism and hermetism. So all this way of understanding about our existence, which I am dualistic, so I don't discard the mystic, because mystic is irreal.
Yep.
But irreal is a real too.
Exactly.
Dream is a irreal, but dream is real.
Yep.
So we try to understand through the irreality what is a real. We cannot discard it. We cannot erase it from our life.
We cannot indeed. And one thing which fascinates me about creativity is that everybody has a creative potential.
Yes.
And we tend to,
In a way.
our institutions are focused on critical thinking. Critical thinking is fine, it's great, but they completely discard, or to a large extent, they discard creative thinking, and that is not, I think it's not very helpful, because you can also learn to be creative, and you learn to be creative in many ways.
You know, this is one of the biggest problems of our daily life. Yes, critical thinking is important, has a huge importance in our life, because we have to be skeptical, we have to be critical. Only through this way of analyzing things, we can experience what is reality. But if we don't try to be a creative, which means criticize what is bad, what is good, what is correct, what is wrong, okay, this dichotomy between bad and bad, but what is mine? So what I put instead of these things that it's criticized by me. So then the creativity is coming out as a problem. It's a problematic. Creativity is a problematic moment of a presence of our ontos. Because since we need to be creative, it means we have a dialectic approach to our life. But if we don't feel this necessity of creating something because there are things that we don't like, then it becomes pathological
it becomes
behavior.
handicap.
Yes,
it's a big handicap. And I mean, Einstein.
Then we have jealousy. When we have when we become vindictive, all these social behaviors, it comes from this. How I can say, to not have capability of putting something instead of those things that we are trying to be free.
It's strange because between creativity and critical thinking, every creative thought, every creative discovery, it includes a critique of something that was there before. It's quite often the critique itself, there can be a critique that is very creative. So we don't really draw the line between creativity and creative and critical thinking is not always vertical and very clear.
If you don't have critical thinking capability, you cannot create anymore. Anyway, you repeat.
Yeah, exactly. So you actually need both. Yeah. And if we take, there's a very famous saying by Einstein, which is, imagination is more important than knowledge. Yeah. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. Yeah.
But if you don't have knowledge, your imagination limits is there.
Exactly. Yeah. So knowledge is obviously important, but you do need that imagination to get out, and in the end, create more knowledge as well. Yeah. I wonder if we come back to a little bit to the Cypriot context. Not so much to
we come to the narrower space now.
To the narrower space, exactly. To the space of your art journal, your art foundation, but also I think we have a common desire to see our country united.
Yeah, of course.
And we have a common desire to do whatever we can to unite it. We know and we see across from our own beliefs a lot of barriers, political and others.
There are a lot of barriers. Yeah. There is physical barriers, which is it, and there are mental barriers.
There are barriers in here.
There are political barriers. Okay, yes, we can talk about many barriers, but the most important thing, what we are thinking about these barriers. These barriers, they become a part of our anatomy. This is a big problem. So it's like my hand, it's like my leg. I feel it on my body. I feel it on my body that barriers, they send me signals saying that you can come until here. Mm-hmm. And because you are under control, because you are under my authority. So this sense of authority, which we are talking about authority of division, mm-hmm. Is using our part of body. So mentally and physically, we are dependent to these barriers. How we can be free? I believe always that we have to be very radical. So we cannot interpret political life, politicians, and activism in a way that I know that my potentiality, it lets me to go until here. And with my auto-control, I go until there, and I stop. So it means I am controlled by everything that I don't like. So this is a mental problem of Cypriots, and we have to destroy this feeling. Yeah. We have to be more radical and not criticize everything it happens because it is a negative, that they produce negativity in our life for our future. There is no way of reconciliation. There is no way for peace and for solution. And we are going within these corridors that they let us go. So we are actually within a labyrinth. We know that there is one way to go out, but we are going around, and we are not able to find the only way for exit. This is a big problem.
It is. It is. And the solutions are not necessarily easy. What I think we do understand is that if we do have relations between the communities here, it can only be positive. If the relations have to be good, they have to be deep, and they have to be plentiful.
And sincere.
Exactly.
Because relations today, they are within the interest and benefit. Yeah. By communality, this fixed idea of being bicommunal, for me, I don't have identity problem. I'm a Cypriot. Yeah. My mother language is Turkish, but I don't consider myself Turkish.
Right.
I'm a Cypriot with a mother language Turkish.
Right.
So I don't move my ideas through this bicommunality idea of being a part of this country.
Yeah.
For me, meritocracy is more important.
Yeah.
The values of the individuals are very important. it's very important that our knowledge has a real values that can affect to these political negativities that we are living with it.
Yeah.
This is a thing that we have to watch. But why I'm telling these things? There are many activities. They call it, okay, bicommunal exhibition. All right, exhibition, art exhibition. Art exhibition, okay, art. But is it art? For me, first thing should be an art, and then we think if it is a bicommunal or not. That's why I'm talking about meritocracy. So we have to use the concepts. We have to use the terminology through the meritocracy. And we have to give value, appreciate individuals too. Not to put everything in the bicommunality. This is another phase of fascism.
Yeah.
It is very dangerous. For many people, it can be okay, sympathetic, because we want, but not. If you go through and you try to understand better, we try to put everything on the same level, and everybody on the same level, and we don't recognize the freedom of the feelings of the persons. And the other thing, there is not only bicommunality in Cyprus. There are Armenians, there are Maronites, there are Latins.
And we have and other nationalities.
And there are Russians, and there are there are many people here. So we have to consider ourselves. First thing, a person with a responsibility of his own or her own motherland. If Cyprus is my motherland, I have to respect for it, and I have to produce values that they are for nature, they are for human being, and they are for humanity, not for you and me.
I think the idea of communities, though...
This is sociocentrism.
Yeah.
I am against sociocentrism.
Okay. The idea of communities, it came for a number of historical and political reasons.
Yeah, but it produces ethnicity,
it
produces nationality.
Yes, and it reproduces itself.
Yeah.
It reproduces itself. So I believe that to overcome it, it's good to have a lot of contact between the communities. Some of it
real
is
contact.
deep. Yeah, some of
not
it.
For a vitrine. Not for a vitrine.
Yeah,
but real contact.
If you have a lot of it, you have also a larger chance of getting a lot of good contact. You will always get...
You know me and you know my life.
Yeah, I do.
All right.
I do.
Did I have necessity to be sponsored to work for peace and reconciliation? I have always been working
for peace and reconciliation. Yeah.
I had many troubles. They threatened me. They were killing me, and many, many other things. I came here in 89. I had an exhibition. We are talking about 89. Another world.
Yeah.
I had an exhibition here. They declared me persona non grata. I couldn't go there, the north, for 6 years. And when I went, they arrested me. And they, police and this and that. So I had many difficulties in my life, but I never asked sponsorship for peace, for my action. This is what I am trying to explain you.
Yeah.
This is my duty as an intellectual and as an artist. Okay. And I do it. But today, with the civil societies, they are producing according to the necessity of the moment.
Yeah.
But I have my doubts of their sincerity. I want to be very clear.
Yeah, I think that civil society organizations are important as well. Yes. Do they all work perfectly? No. Are all the people in there 100% honest? Maybe, maybe not. But the point, though, is if we don't have as much contact as possible under these difficult circumstances, we'll never move ahead, will we?
Something should be happened. Something should be happened. Something should be come out, and then we are selective. We can understand which is sincere, which is not, which is good, which is not bad. But my problem, and I'm trying to understand what we are doing, every act of our thoughts, if really are focusing on the target, or it's a part of behavior because it is necessary to do it today.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
I'm
talking about the moda.
All right.
Today, moda is putting red jacket. Everybody is putting red jackets. But I used to put, but I used to put that red jacket 40 years ago.
Right.
This is.
So you're in yellow jackets now.
Yeah,
You're in gilet jaune.
I am in the Van Gogh yellow.
Gilet jaune in France. But that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we spend just 5 minutes thinking a little bit of our magic project? How are we going to make magic in the future? Magic as a show, which is interesting for me, and then
magic. It means
magic real.
To wake up the mind of the person that many times fake can deceive you as a real fact.
Yes.
Yeah.
And deception, magic is the only honest profession. The magician promises
the only honest
to deceive
deception
you,
is
and
a
he
magic.
does.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
so magic is teaching us, actually.
So how are we going to do it? How do you think we should do it? I'm preparing a magic show for the Edinburgh Festival.
I think that's a good performance.
Yeah.
So magic, art, and creativity that combines art and magic together. It's another another level of linguistic, actually, for me. It's a performance, and it can, we can learn about that performance, that artists, whatever they produce as a onirism, as a dream, or as a metaphysical interpretation or surrealistic interpretation, they have a big part of reality in it. So everything which is irreal, seems irreal, within there is some reality that we have to discover.
Oh, the magician has a very logical mind, believe me. But, and we could also do this as a film. We could do this as a performance, many performances.
I think we should do it.
Are you ready to do it?
Yes, of course.
And so am I, Ümit. So am I.
This is our future project.
So
I think you are going to show it in where?
Yeah, Edinburgh Festival.
Edinburgh Festival.
Yeah, but I will show it in Cyprus as well beforehand. But I'm looking forward to the step after, the day after, when we do this together.
Yes, video performance. All right.
There you go.
Okay,
we shall make magic.
We had our discussion here, conversation, not discussion. Okay, discussion and conversation. And then for a future collaboration. All right.
Good talking to you.
Good talking to you.